Yo, what's up guys? Today I'm back with another tutorial on mastering, and this is a very simple, uh, easy and efficient way to master, and I think that this really works well uh, for me personally, and I'll just show you the small tricks which I do, and I'm going to play the track. It's the same remix which I used um, for the first video. So without the mastering, it sounds something like this. So it's obvious. And the thing is that I use very less plugins, less number of plugins, and these are the few plugins which I use, and it's very simple. So the first plugin or EQ which I use is the FabFilter Pro C2, and this is just for the basic um, stereo signal EQing to make the lows in complete mono, as I've done here. And after this, uh, 200 or 210 frequency, this really depends on each track, and after that it becomes stereo, and this helps the track to make the lows in mono, so that the lows really hit hard on club speakers which are usually mono. And so the next plugin which I have used is the ozone imager, and I have used this to make the lows completely mono, and this range, um, I like to keep it a little bit towards mono, so that it sounds a bit better on club speakers. um, this really depends on taste, and I think that it kind of works like this. So I boosted the third and fourth bands on a bit on a little bit of the towards the little bit towards the stereo side, and that's basically it. And these two are the really important and main plugins which I use. And so the first one is the glue compressor, and there is a mastering preset which is called the glue 2, and I really use that a lot. So what I basically do is, first I add this, and I try to increase the makeup knob from 0 towards the point where there is no distortion in the track, and I feel that I have pushed the track to its maximum limit, and even if I push it a little bit further, it is going to distort. And this value really depends on each track, because the amount of elements in the track, and there are various other factors which come into play. So the last one is, of course, the invisible limiter, which I really used to like, which I really like to use a lot. And this output gain is at 0.5 dB, and that's basically because of the mastering preset, where the track doesn't stop at 0 dB exactly, and that is why I push it to 0 dB on this, and this pretty much just limits the volume level, so that all the peaks are at 0 dB. And make sure that you do and test this on the drop part, because that is the loudest part in the track. I have some CPU issues, so I can't really run the drop, but I really hope that you guys understood what all the plugins are doing. And this is a really simple method, but there is another method which I use when I master some master other people's tracks, because there is a difference when you are mastering your own track, in which you can really go into the details for the mix down, and there is a difference when the track is coming from somewhere else and you can't really work on the mix down of that track. And so most of the issues are usually fixed in the mixdown stage, and the best way to get a perfect track is to really focus on the mixdown, and not really worry much about the mastering, because the mastering is not something which is extremely um, important, or something which you really have to think about a lot, because you can literally fix everything in the mix down. And if there are a few things which you feel are not perfect when you're mastering it, you can tweak the values in your mix down. And that is why my mastering is very simple for my own projects. Now I will show you how I master tracks for others. So for the mastering of someone else's track, there are a few things which we need to do differently, because we can't really manipulate the mix down or tweak some things in the mix. And so we take a different approach to mastering. And so the first plugin which I use is Ozone 5 from Isotope. And what I do with this is that the first thing which I use is the equalizer, and these settings for the EQ changes with each track. And over here I have boosted this particular frequency range to just make the kick pop out a bit more. And I removed some highs because I thought that the track already had a lot of highs over there. So it really depends on each track. And for the dynamics part, I used the compressor and kept the threshold at around minus 14.7, uh, which I thought that was the maximum limit I can push to, and it really works for me. And at this point, after this point, if I push it more, the track becomes a bit distorted, and which is why I kept my minus 14.4, minus 14.7, sorry. And the next one is the maximizer, which I use separately, and it's from Ozone 5. And I just put the threshold at around minus 3.2 on this one. And once again, it's the same principle. As I boost more, the track becomes distorted, so it is at minus 3.2. And the next one is the same as I showed in the previous mastering technique. So over here I have removed some peaks and resonances in the track, which I thought were making uh, the track a bit muddy, and these frequencies were like hurting my ears, which is why I used it. And over here I have removed and reduced some lows, which I thought that they were jarring, and which is why I removed these lows. Um, so the next one is the same as the previous one once again, uh, where I've used the mastering preset, the glue tool. And as I said, the makeup knob value really depends on each track, because I the value is different for each track, and this value was pretty much the maximum I could push for this one, and after this it was getting distorted. and this it's the same as before. um, I have once again put the invisible limiter, and the output gain is again at 0.5 dB, which was what I kept for the previous technique. And over here I added the span analyzer, or spectrum analyzer, which is usually used to detect the frequencies in the spectrum on the track and analyze the frequencies. And this is really important, and you need to do this on every track for mastering. Um, so when I played the drop, I learned that the lows should hit at around -30, and this is very important when it comes to analyzing the lower frequencies and all the other frequencies. So when I played the drop, so it should hit the -30 range. So if I can boost a little bit of the lows from here, it should probably become -30. So you get what I'm saying, and this is very important, and that is basically it. That is how I master my tracks and other tracks. And the wave file is usually sent at -6 dB, and that is why you need to really push the volume further than what you need to do for the normal mastering when you're mixing your own tracks. So that was basically it, and I really hope that you guys liked my video, and hope that you guys learned something from it. And to get both the mastering templates for free, please do take this video to 100 likes, and after that I'll be uploading both the templates for free. And I hope that you guys can do something with it. So thank you so much, and stay safe, and I'll be back with new videos. Thank you.